In 2009, the Advocate's Office began an outreach process with Northern Ontario's First Nation leadership and political leaders. We wanted to begin to understand the needs that exist for Northern First Nations children and youth. Everyone agreed a gathering of Northern First Nations youth was needed, and so Feathers of Hope was born. In March 2013, more than 100 young people from 62 of Ontario's Northern First Nations communities came together in Thunder Bay. This video reflects the vision, passion, and commitment of the young people to be the change they want to see in their communities. These young people are Feathers of Hope.
Feathers of Hope is a First Nations youth forum for the purpose of gathering youth from all over Northern Ontario to share their experiences, to relate, and to present recommendations and plans they made for their communities.
These kids are pumped up because they have a voice, and they realize that they can be a part of this future. And they realize that this country and the prosperity that was promised to their ancestors, they're a part of it.
Feathers of Hope is a forum and an opportunity for First Nations youth to take the reins on their future.
So we wanted to gather the youth to share their experiences and create these recommendations that they know will benefit their communities.
The themes that we chose for the forum came from a report that came out 17 years ago called Horizons of Hope. So this forum is loosely based off of that one, as in we looked at that report and we noticed that a lot of the recommendations that they made are still issues today.
But this time around, it's all, okay, what's wrong and how are we gonna fix it? From the young people's point of view.
So we're looking at education, health, recreation and programming, culture and identity, as well as systems of care for children in the First Nations. Right off the bat, we started with making groups, random groups of youth from different communities so that we'd have a good mix.
By gathering and sharing, youth get the feeling that they're not alone.
And when they meet together as a home group, that's when they start discussing the things that they learned, and they all get to be involved in that conversation.
Back home in their communities, a lot of First Nations youth don't have the opportunity to share. So coming to this forum, they're allowed to express themselves in a safe space.
With the youth today, you have to implant a seed with them, a seed about culture. Get them knowing about the meaning of life, get them knowing about the joys of life and the positive way to live life.
So going to powwows and just hearing the drummers here, it brings back old memories, and at least I still have the feeling. I get the tingling feelings of the drum, and it's a beautiful feeling, really.
Culture is basically what's going to keep us together.
I practice my culture, like going to sweats and smudging and putting down tobacco and saying a prayer.
I personally like my culture because I find a lot of the ceremonies they really help me and keeps me on focus, really.
We know for sure that our culture usually stems from oral teachings, and where we can get that from is our elders, and we just listen and try to incorporate it in our life.
I'd rather know a lot about the culture and be able to be proud of it and be able to talk about it.
The way I see it is that culture was a big thing. I started drumming with local drum groups, that brought me up a lot. And then powwows too, gatherings, learning about my traditions, ceremonies and all that. And education. Education is the #1 thing today.
Education is knowledge, so in order to live a proper life, you need to know how to do things.
You have to understand, to make change, you got to change yourself.
identity. Like really, nobody can take that from you. It's who you are.
Identity is when you're confident and you know who you are and where you came from.
Some kids have low self-esteem. They're just shy, depressed, lonely, stuff like that. I mean, after I moved out the res, it was even worse for me because I didn't know who to talk to. And yeah, it's all about finding strengths. It's all about finding who you are and what you know. If you don't know who you are, then you don't know where you're going.
We come from a long history of strength, our people. Because they say pre-contact, there are up to 30 million of us living in North and South America. Right now in Canada, less than 1 million of us here. But we're still here.
When you're a young kid and you see alcohol abuse, drug abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, how are you going to grow up?
I myself had a very tough upbringing. Growing up in a reserve, it's so easy to start feeling like hopeless.
In order to survive all that pain, all the atrocity, you had to be the strongest of the strongest of the strongest. And that's you. The journey continues. You need to have your voice. That is why we're here.
Coming back from the workshops, they get together to talk about the presentation that they're going to make, which is being presented on the third day of the forum, which is today. So right now we're working on creating the presentations in any format that the youth feel comfortable. I've heard of raps and poems being made. There are different formats of presenting to the various dignitaries that are going to be at the table.
This is a product of true sense of empowerment. And empowerment is not about me talking to these kids. A true sense of empowerment is young people doing something, and doing something that's going to create some change.
Well, when the youth first came to the forum, they were very reserved and quiet.
They had their hoodies on, their earphones on. They wouldn't really talk to anybody.
But I've noticed as the days have been going on that they're opening up and they're starting to share parts of themselves that they may have not been able to share before.
From what I saw from the youth at Feathers of Hope, you can tell that they're very anxious, especially since most of them have never even spoke to a large audience, never mind government officials.
We basically let them know that we were just here to listen and that's all. Not to judge, not to put words in their mouth or tell them what to do. This is about them and their voice.
Thank you for coming out, and thank you for being here and listening to our young people begin to paint a vision for the future. And it's a vision for their future, it's a vision for my future, and it's a vision for our collective future as Canadian citizens.
I know some of us may be scared. I know I'm kind of nervous right now even. But we need to get our stories told out there if we want our problems to be solved.
I think that communication is a good thing because it brings us together, and with that we can plan and get the ball rolling to a better future, healthy lives, strong hearts, strong minds. Every elder I talk to always mention how important our culture, identity, and language is. We just need some confidence and commitment, leadership, and healthy minds.
I wrote a poem this morning, sitting in the restaurant, and we're going to recite it for you.
If we work together, we can bring change. If we work together, we can cut out the pain. Our Aboriginal youth have a say. My say is simple: change the game.
I dream of better days, better ways, where my people aren't afraid to say what they need to say. Where the Anishinaabe aren't abused in any way.
Where my people put down the bottle and pick up life. Right then and there is the true light. So what I am trying to say is simple: drugs and alcohol and abuse aren't for my people.
Inge odika kaunchina non kaunchi cho kaitat ke sam ni bo ya sit zok ya ke ine demo ke ak ne ak people ka ya ma ya ne demo ke kaun ya sino kaun de mo ke un sako.
Suicide is a huge issue that needs to be often addressed. In my community, and I'm sure in most communities, there is lack of support regarding this issue.
Most of us here have been infected or know someone who has been infected by suicide. I myself, I've lost my brother to suicide and alcohol.
We need more access for youth to attend youth forums and conferences, just like this one, Feathers of Hope. This will prevent thoughts of suicide and promote a healthy self-esteem.
Aboriginal Canadians have the highest dropout rate amongst high school students.
Our youth need more support in their studies. Having access to tutors and proper education facilities, like libraries and drop-in centers, could help decrease our dropout rate.
We need to develop a program that incorporates life skills so a student can move off the reservation to pursue higher education.
The youth come from these communities having been shut down their entire life when they try to speak up. They come here and they don't expect that people are going to be listening, and I think just being shut down all the time, it makes them not want to explore those ideas. It makes them not able to form their voices, I guess, because they haven't exercised it. But for me, this forum is about starting to use it and starting to speak up.
And they fulfilled the main goal together, taking their recommendations to government officials who could help them make the changes they want to see in their communities.
We have a student council at our school, and I'm probably gonna use the stuff that I learned to try, bring it more together as a more stronger council.
I hope the youth leave with a sense of hope. For me, the heart of this issue is the hopelessness that we feel. We feel like we can't get out there and make better lives for ourselves. But the truth is that we can. And that's what I want youth to leave with. Going back to their communities, I want them to feel a sense of hope.
Now that the forum is complete, we've got a lot of plans. But once again, we're starting it with the youth.
It's a movement for First Nations youth and the allies for First Nations youth. It's geared towards making sure that their lives and their communities are going to be healthier and more positive for anybody to live in.
Yeah. Now please bury my heart in Moosonee. Put my body on a boat and push it through the reeds. Send arrows of flames to pierce my remains. Set my mind free and let my spirit do the same. I don't want to die in vain, so I'm trying to gain knowledge needed to make sure that I'm not defeated. That's why I ride the train as often as I can, stopping when I can, getting off and on the land. Ain't hard to find native pride when you know where it hides. Deep inside high tides and behind skylines, I listen as a pine cries. Intent is pure as a tear from a child's eyes. I miss the way it was. These days everybody's getting dirty like it's raining mud, and kings reign in clubs. The saying praise us, forget your creator's love. But I'm just trying to be who I choose to be, with a spear in my side and a wounded knee. I'm dirt bound like roots and seeds, so bury my heart in Moosonee. Lately I've been losing sleep, with a fear deep inside that I'll lose what's Cree. But I can never lose what's me, so bury my heart in Moosonee.